19th of June, 2025. After much dreaming, forcing lucidity, and experimenting with what I can do, I tried to force myself into a state of sleep paralysis. My sleep paralyses aren't very eventful. I've found ways to get out of it, and while in this state, I'm not necessarily paralyzed. While most of the time my body doesn't actually move, I can still sort of, in a metaphysical sense. Nearly all times I can close my eyes and my lucidity is nearly that of consciousness, so when I do get into this state, I don't feel scared or threatened. However, shamefully, I forgot exactly how I managed to get into the sleep paralysis this time. I think it was a mix of previously being woken up beforehand and from that, being in a sort of fluid state where I can go between paralysis and dreams. Withal, I've found this time to differ from my past experiences. During my forced sleep paralysis, I heard a knock at my door. I presumed it to be my real-life mother knocking, but I didn't wake myself up. Then I felt a body on me, caressing me upward with warm, soft hands. I didn't feel scared, weirdly. It was nearly motherly in quality and subcurrent. I kept my eyes shut, of course. My bravery to venture beyond sleep paralysis existed only later in this record. Sometime after that, while I was in sleep paralysis, I wanted to try something. I wanted to try leaving my body. A concept I originally heard of from a person who was likely exaggerating everything he experienced for attention, as he was a YouTuber. Corey Shear. I watched his stuff a long time ago, likely when I was more the target audience. I've since for a long time stayed clear of that area of YouTube, and for one, don't even believe in the paranormal, despite that value's monotony. Anyways, in his experience, when he left his house and went outside, the world was completely white. Purely white. He walked down his street and approached the end, to which stood there was a stop sign, and next to it a figure. One in all black and a hat, known to many as either the Shadow Man or the Hat Man. He got scared and booked it towards his house, and as soon as he opened his front door, he recoiled like he was in reverse speed back to his bed. With all the context added now, I tried it. Firstly, when I went into sleep paralysis and tried to leave my body, it felt weird. I didn't do it very successfully, only leaving my body about 10 centimeters. It felt like I was living an echo, with my eyes nearly shut, but from what I could see, it looked like an unfocused world coalescing with some celestial imagery. In terms of textile, imagine the numbness on your lips from alcohol, but enveloping your whole body. I noted it in my head that it was a cool, funny feeling, but then I sunk back to my body. I really wanted something to happen in my sleep paralysis, even after my strange encounter just a few illogical seconds before. But of course, I didn't want to actually be scared. So I utilized an odd strategy. I wanted to summon things that I could laugh at, like hot goat men or sexy shadowy werewolves, just so I didn't actually get afraid. And actually, that was the inspiration I needed to fully get out of my body. I sprung up with the intent of wanting to see something at the end of my bed, but unfortunately nothing was there. Though, now that I found myself out of my body, I continued on. I left my room and ventured through the house to the front door. I was gleeful in the moment, but what I opened my front door to sapped me of any joy. A wall of white. In fact, there were 3 things that wasn't a white void. At my door, I could see a hemisphere on the ground, the familiar beige-white concrete on my doorstep that faded into the abyss not 2 meters in front of me. Another was one of my olive trees, in its familiar spot, but of course, as if they'd been cut out and placed there on an empty canvas. The last thing I saw was the most concerning. At about a 45-degree angle, in fact, slightly obscured by the frame of my door. A figure in all black, about 40 meters away, sat there. The figure was too far to discern any features, but it looked like he waited on a bench, facing away. Fear, unfortunately, got the better of me. As soon as I was welcomed with the image of a white void, I sprinted back inside. Not in reverse speed throughout the house like in Corey's experience, but it felt like I was floating. When I got to the side of my bed, that's when I was essentially sucked back into my being, and I awoke from there. Dream end. Right, a lot to unpack from this one. Firstly, I am very shameful that I managed to forget about all of the techniques that I should have learned from that. It's funny, the reason I know how to get out of sleep paralysis is because this 1 week, I think in the summer of 2023, or 2022 going on to 2023, because I'm Southern Hemisphere like that, I had sleep paralysis like once a day for an entire week. And at the start, I was like, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Nothing happened. I was just in my room. But I figured out how to get out of it. From what usually works with me is, because I can close my eyes, I really shut them tight and try to jolt myself awake. Like, just move my entire body as quickly as I could, just jolt. And a lot of the times it doesn't actually work. Well, actually, 50-50. 50-50. Sometimes it works. Sometimes I just get chucked into a dream. And oftentimes in those dreams, I know I'm dreaming, but I feel safe in dreams. So, I'm not necessarily afraid. Now, about the sleep paralysis part. I'd be lying if I said that I don't think my brain is trying to toy with me a little bit. I did, for a long time, I should say, it's October now. So, 4 months later? Since then, I haven't really got much sleep paralysis. And thinking about it, every time I have encountered my front door in a dream where I'm fully lucid, I have been hesitant to go. Sometimes I just get too afraid, too afraid, and then my brain just shuts off and I'm in a different dream, or I wake up. Not a few weeks ago, though. This is when I say that my brain's trying to toy with me. I was in a dream where I was doing a guitar lesson with my guitar teacher, but at my house, which isn't usually how it goes. Usually I go to him, but he was here, and he had to leave for a second. And so I found myself at the front end of my house, lucid, and I thought about going towards my front door, to which I did. I went towards my front door, and I stood there. And as I was about to overcome my fear, as I reached for the handle, I woke up. Just my luck. I want to confront him. This figure I've seen in my dreams. No, it's not the first time I saw him. No, the first time, in my old room, I had this fever dream, I guess you would call it. It was about a year ago, I think. I didn't write this one down, but I did draw, what I saw, because it was just my room plus this shadow guy. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I remember the exact time. It was like 7:52 to 7:56 or something. I fell asleep quick because I was sick, I think. And I was in bed, fell asleep, and next thing I knew, I was looking at my door. And at my door was the Shadow Man, sort of half stepped in, and I sleep with my door open because my cat, who's currently on my lap, oftentimes wants to get in and out, and I don't want to lock her in my room while I'm sleeping in case she wants to go eat or something. Or sometimes I'll just let her in, and like I'll leave the door open to let her in. But that was the reason why I saw him. The Shadow Man just stood at my door, sort of silhouetted entirely by the light that was cast into my room. And I found myself in quotations, sleep paralysis, when in actuality it was more dreamlike because I got the covers over me, right? And now, weirdest, I guess, course of action I chose here, but I decided, fuck this, I want to go to my parents' room because that's what you do when you're like really young. And I guess I was in a really young kind of state of mind, despite this would have been when I was 18, which was last year. Yeah, I quickly uncovered myself from the sheets and ran through my door. Didn't see him. I guess I was just like covering my eyes or something. Then I bolted it towards my parents' room, and I forget how exactly it went from there, but I talked to them. They said that I could sleep in their bed, so I got in the middle of their bed, and they I think went to sleep shortly after that. And then I saw another shadow figure, not the same as before, but this one more like, how do I put it? Short, squat at the end of the bed, facing profile to me, and wearing some sort of like hood that made its face very polygonal, even if that's even a word, sharp, like triangular or boxy. And it just ran from one end of the bed to the, one side of the bed to the other side of the bed. That's when I woke up. So yes, I want to talk to him. If I ever find myself in sleep paralysis, it might not be a good idea, but I want to talk with him. I want to find myself the courage, step outside into the white void, and find him. I don't know how he's going to act. I don't know if he's going to try and kill me, which is a fucking stupid thing to say when I am literally dreaming. But I want to see what kind of subconscious wildlife my brain can generate, what stories can unfold. If I don't press again, then you got me. Alright, bye-bye.